Hello guys and welcome to another video. So what I have here today is a pure barn find, as you can see. It's a Czech motorcycle. Czech was and is the armory and was one of the two biggest motorcycle producers in Czechoslovakia back then in the 50s, 60s and 70s and so on. This bike is 175cc. It's a two-stroke single-cylinder engine with 4-speed gearbox in a unit construction, and this motorcycle was produced from the year 1960 onwards. So this one, I believe, is one of the first examples of the first series of this type. This type is marked with the number 450. So this is Czech 450 175cc. I got this bike like 2 years ago. And I haven't touched it since. So today I would just like to start it. Let's see what we've got. So the first thing I noticed is that we are missing the throttle cable. It's not there. Should enter here, so this is something we need to buy somewhere or maybe find somewhere. Carburetor is there, that's a good thing. The chain guard is missing, or the chain cover. It's not there, but it's not a big deal. No chain. Compared to Java motorcycles, these Czechs usually got just one exhaust pipe and one muffler. So in this case it's on the left hand side. It's there, so that's good. Another thing that was missing was the cylinder head over here. I managed to get it online previously and I already mounted it prior to shooting this video, so it's already there. Clutch cable, it's there, seems to be operating normally, so yeah, we'll see. The headlight screw down there is broken, so somebody used a duct tape to hold it in place. Not a big deal, we can live with it for now. Front brake is there, operating. Also there are some other bits and pieces missing, like these screws for the tank. This screw, I think I saw it over there, down there. Yeah, it's over there, so this is okay. Rear brake lever is there, working. I noticed that the footrest is bent upwards because yeah, the bike was clearly abused quite a lot in the dirt, so we will have to address this issue later, but for now it's okay. When loading the bike on the bench, I also noticed a bad thing. The front fork is stuck, it doesn't move at all. So this is going to be one of the biggest problems, I think. So we need to disassemble it and check what's inside. This is what's left from the air filter or air box. Somebody cut it in half, as you can see. So this, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm not sure why the person did it, so yeah, that's not good. Right, so let's open this box. Let's look what's inside. Here's the mechanism for opening it, like that. It's in a pretty good shape. This down here is a switch for a brake light. So if you operate the rear brake lever, it pulls this rod forward and switches this switch on. So that's how you operate your brake light. Okay, now let's see the left hand side. This is a battery box. And there's something in there. I'm not sure what it is. Now I'm really curious, but I think it's the chain. Yep, this is our chain. This over here is our fuse box. Let's open it. Yeah, there is a fuse. The fuse should be okay, it should work. So this is our coil. Spark plug is there. Carburetor cover. Nice. Now there are some screws over there. This one is for tank. So this is what came from under the carburetor. This over here is not a nut, it's a screw, and it's the one to hold the tank in place. It fits over here like that. Another thing that I know I don't have is the gasket between the cylinder and the cylinder head. So I'm going to remove it and see whether I've got one anywhere. Yeah, it actually wasn't screwed on, so it should go off like this. And it's moving freely. So the piston isn't stuck, that's one problem solved. Yeah. So the needle is here, but the thing that this needle holds in and that slides up and down, it's actually stuck in there. Actually, I tried to use pliers very gently and it moved. So I'm lucky. Yes. But we are missing the spring, so we need to get one. This is the float chamber and the float is not there. So we need to get the float. So we know what's missing in the carburetor, but I have to check another thing before we go and buy something online. We need to remove this right hand side cover, check the dynamo, check the pins and check the sprocket. Good news everyone, we've got everything we need, at least I hope so. We've got the sprocket over here, we've got the dynamo assembly. The dynamo is 6 volts and 45 watts. We've got our capacitor over here and the contact, the pin I believe. The contact does actually interrupt the circuitry for the coil and that produces a spark on the spark plug pins. And here on the top we can see the voltage regulator, which regulates the voltage for the battery. This is a weak point of these engines because it used to go wrong and the regulation was not working properly. The voltage was either too low or too high and thus damaging the battery. But we don't have to worry about this now. Now we need just the spark to make it running. Right, so I got myself some new parts. These are the parts that were missing. So this is the throttle cable. I bought a new spark plug. I also got this spring in the carburetor. This one was missing, the float was missing, so this is a new float. I decided to buy this cylinder head gasket as well, and I bought the motorcycle chain as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna clean and assemble the carburetor and then check whether we do have a spark. Okay, now all the parts are perfectly clean, so I'm going to assemble it. Now, this float here is the new part. This float chamber lid is the original, and over there this valve needs to close this input and it needs to be sealed properly. So let's check if there is no leakage. Yeah, it seems to be working. Now the fuse seems to be okay, but let's measure it anyway. Yes. So the battery is there. We've got spark plug. The only problem is that we don't have a key, so I'm going to use this screwdriver instead. This should turn the ignition on, like this. Now check the spark plug. And yes, we've got the spark. Mount the cylinder head, mount the carburetor, mount the throttle cable, and then probably the tank, pour some gas in it and try to start it up. Let's go. And even though the spark was there, I'm going to clean the pin anyway using the sandpaper very gently, and I'm going to lubricate the camshaft as well. Now for the tank, let's see what's inside. Well, that's a surprise. It looks almost perfect. It's intact. Almost no rust, no nothing. There are a few dents here and there. There's one and there's second. I found a filter lying there. That's a filter of the fuel tap, and there's probably the rest of some oil. So let's flush it and pour some gas in it. Okay, so the fuel tap is free just in one position for the gas to enter this pipe here, but the second position for the reserve is blocked. We need to dig deeper and disassemble it and clean it. There is a seal inside, so let's remove it. Good. So this bolt should hold the tank in place, and the thread is badly damaged. And that's probably the reason why the tank was just lying on the frame and was not fixed by this bolt. So let's fix the thread. So at least some oil is there in the gearbox. We're going to change it anyway at some point in the future, but for now, let's keep it as it is. Okay, so at this point I think we've got everything we need. We've got fuel in the tank, we've got tap, we've got hose or fuel line, we've got carburetor, we've got spark. Tickle the carburetor, close the air intake like this, 3 kicks and go. Fingers crossed. Ignition. It lives. So after 25 plus years of sitting in the barn, it's alive again. We've got small issue with the carburetor. It gets flooded because the intake valve doesn't work properly, but that's not a big deal. So for now, we need chain, we need to inflate the tires, and let's go for a test ride. So we're back from our test ride. The good news is that this bike is actually able to move. It runs and all the gears are there from 1 to 4. There are a few issues, obviously. Brakes almost don't work. Rear brake doesn't work at all. The front brake works a little bit better, but almost no action. The clutch is slipping. The front fork, there's very little movement. It's almost stuck. Lights don't work at all. But these are minor things. And all these issues are a subject for some future videos. So for now, thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.